The record, 2:30:19. Can you imagine what it would be like to survive an avalanche? Sam has more now on that.
This is really an amazing story. Time now coming up at 8:07, and these two guys sitting next to me can tell us all about it. Buried alive in an avalanche, these two snowmobilers survived a crushing wall of snow. One dug himself out, the other hiked miles to get help, and they spent like one of them spent 4 hours buried. Without further ado, Ken Huff, Bill Lewis, good morning to you fellas.
Good morning.
This must have been absolutely incredible. Let's tell folks, first of all, you guys ventured out on what day to do what?
Well, we started out on a Wednesday morning, just going to take in a day of snowmobiling. That's our day during the week. Then we go up on weekends. We've already done almost 1,500 miles this year so far on snowmobiles.
So last Wednesday you decided to go where?
Went up to Greenwater,
yep.
And it's a nice calm area. We knew that avalanche conditions were a little bit high because of the recent week's snow pattern.
So what time of the morning did you get going on your snowmobiles?
We headed up about 11.
About 11 o'clock, yeah.
And so you start heading out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us a story about when this avalanche hit.
Well, Ken was leading the way. I was following him of all the things. We start down into this chute, and we was going to go over and climb these hill climbs that was off to the left. And right as we got way down the bottom, it was in a creek bed. I watched Ken's sled start going sideways, and I watched him grab a handful of throttle. You know, he was trying to power out of it, and neither one of us was concerned at all.
Did you see the snow start to come down at that point?
It started at our sleds, and then the whole thing came down at one time.
Both of you, but you saw his first go down.
Right.
So you feel this wall of snow coming over you, and did you think, oh my gosh, I'm in the middle of an avalanche?
Nope.
Not at first. I was laughing at first. I thought,
Yeah.
you know, he looked like he was making it, but then it just tipped my sled over and it started, you know, I got stuck first.
So tell me now, when you realize I'm in the middle of an avalanche, I'm buried.
I started praying.
Yeah, when it hit me, at first it swamped my sled. You know, I was actually, in the ground that I was around, the snow came from all directions. It wasn't like a typical avalanche where you get swept down the mountain or anything. We were already at the bottom of the mountain when it came down.
So when it covers you guys, though, I'm trying to get to the point where you're underneath. Now, how did you get out?
Well,
I panicked, and I punched my way out, and because I knew I wasn't that deep. I knew I was like under a foot from where my head was. So I just started jamming. I got an air pocket right away.
And you kept punching up to the top.
Right.
And you
I could still see daylight.
How long did this take you? Like 20 minutes, I heard?
It took me about 20 minutes. It took me about 5 or 10 minutes to get just my sight, but then it took me about 20 minutes just to get myself out. But at that point, I knew I was getting out.
So you're out, and you realize he's not.
He's gone.
And you start running for help.
Well, no, at first I spent probably an hour in there, and I took him up there Saturday and showed him all the holes that I dug. I mean, I looked for him for a long time.
Yeah.
But then I realized that the snow's up to my waist. I've got 4 or 5 miles to the main trail. I've got to go.
You go. So you go get help. You come back.
Well, I went down to meet search and rescue, and I'd met another snowmobiler, Troy, and we had told them, I told them where he was at. I was exhausted. I mean, I couldn't go on anymore.
So they go out, and you're still underneath here for how long?
5 hours.
I was 5 hours under.
And you had an air pocket?
Well, actually,
how did you stay there?
when I initially got buried, it came in 3 waves. The first wave swamped my sled. The second wave actually covered my head. It was still bright. I knew, like Bill, there was only about a foot above me. I still wasn't that panicked.
So, but for this 5 hours while you're in there, what did you do?
Well, I did a lot of praying. I did a whole lot of praying.
Now, tell me about the point where somebody found you.
I was able, through the 5 hours, I actually created my own air box. I was punching into the snow. I probably went almost under about 15 times. I compare it to like drowning. If somebody just grabbed your head, submerged it underwater, you drowned. I finally got an air hole at the very end of the very end through using my face shield and everything I could find to reach, because I was about 4 feet under.
But did a pole come down?
No.
How did they get you out?
He was screaming.
I was screaming. Every 2 to 3 minutes I would scream for help, and I only did this while I was underneath. For the simple fact I didn't want to burn up my oxygen in a panic.
Tell me how at the end they got you out. How'd they pull you out?
One gentleman, and he was all by himself in the beginning, heard my scream. I had already had a hole opened up, and I was just trying to crawl out. I yelled for help. He yelled back, and at that point I just gave up. And I just decided it was somebody else's problem to get me out from here.
And they pulled you out.
And he came down, and all I remember is looking up through this hole and seeing this big, beautiful face with a big grin on it, and there was Troy.
And that was the happiest day of your life?
That was the happiest point in my life, except for I didn't know that Bill was alive.
I know.
And my first thing to Troy was, we have to go dig up Bill.
And you were already all right.
Yeah. And he was already okay.
Incredible. Ken Huff, Bill Lewis.
Great story.
What
Glad you guys
an
are
unbelievable
okay.
Story.
Definitely glad you guys are okay.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you having us come down.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Well, still to come,
Wow.
Governor Locke is going to be here. He's going to talk about education and maybe his kids.
Yep.
Also, if you're looking for a way to beat PMS, researchers have found that what you eat may